Welcome to Sodo Creations, where we make your imagination a reality. So today I'm going to show you the main backdrop that I did for the grand opening. This was placed on a stage. I went with the color scheme blue because if you know I love blue. Blue is my favorite color. So the decor that I did for the whole hall was shades of blue, and so I wanted to incorporate this in the backdrop by adding a touch of gold. On the right side of the ballroom we had the shades of blue, and on the left side we had white and gold. If you saw the videos on my Instagram or TikTok, you already know what the hall looked like on that day. But I really like how these drapes turned out. I'm starting out with the glitz gold fabric. I buy this at CV Linen. This is one of the first fabrics I bought. If you've been watching the channel, you probably already know the story. If I'm being repetitive, it's not to be. It's mainly for those who are watching for the first time. So I have this. I buy the 5 yards and I cut it in half, and that gives me 2 panels, saves me a little bit, but I have to sew the seam myself so that I can pass that on to the pipe and drape. But these are heavy duty fabrics. They work really well for like a base layer, as you can see here. Not the best for draping unless you're putting it right in the middle. So now we're moving on to our second layer of the backdrop, and this I'm going to mix shades of blue with white. You're gonna see how it looks towards the end, but I'm adding some white panels in the middle. These panels are the 4-way stretch fabrics that I love so much for my draping, and I just buy the regular 14 length because I like my drapes to be able to save me on money overall, where I'm not buying different color of drapes. I would rather pay for the 14 feet tall drapes. That way if I have an event that requires me to do 8 foot, I can use it and just tuck it in. Or if I need something as tall as 11 feet or more, then I can use it as well. So I always go for the taller ones. Sometimes I'll buy the 12 foot, but most of my drapes are 14 feet. I say that because someone asked me in one of my videos in the past. We've added a touch of the navy blue, and then we have this beautiful baby blue color. We're adding that as well. There's a reason to this pattern. You'll see when I start designing. I always say you don't get to have a good design of your drapes until you prep all this ahead of time. So you want to take time to prep your fabric. Now we're measuring, very crucial for symmetry, because when you're designing, if you can see there, the navy on the side I'm standing on, one is smaller than the other. That will affect how your drape looks when you start designing. So here I am just measuring the center point because the left and the right are going to be pretty symmetrical. So I'm going to just measure that middle point, then shift the white fabric so it's centered to that middle point. Then I'm going to spread out the rest of the fabric to somewhat look even. We're going to repeat the same thing on that right side. Please take the time to measure. I can't emphasize that enough. It makes a huge difference in how your drapes look. So if you're a beginner, buy a measuring tape when you're buying all your supplies so that so that you can get this done right. Now we have to create some, I call them shoulder caps, but they're pole covers to cover the ends of our design. So I'm just folding this fabric into my hand. Once I get from one end to the other where it's seamed or sewn for the crossbar, then I thread the pipe cleaner through it to the other side, twist that on to keep it in place so you have like a ring. I'll link below the short I did for this so it gives you more detailed and a closer idea of how I make this. Then we're just gonna put that on. If you want, you can secure that onto the hole that's at the top of the upright, but it's not necessary. It won't really fall off in my experience. Now I'm going back to measure each section, each color, to make sure they're even and shifting things around when they're not, so that again the backdrop is nice and even. So once all that is done, then we'll get to designing. Okay, this part I'm not sure what we were talking about, but I decided to leave that in there but anyways, we measured everything out, and now I'm going to raise the backdrop to the height I want it to look for the design. We went pretty tall on this one, and I'll adjust the camera so that you guys can see the height later on. I apologize that I didn't catch that whenever we were raising it up. Another thing to keep in mind, the more fabric you're adding on there, the heavier it is. And these pipe and drape kit uprights are meant to hold enough, even the crossbars, but sometimes you're using your strength to pull that up, so keep that in mind when you're designing. So I had to get some help from Richard. And another thing is, you don't want to raise one side completely all the way to the height you want it. Let's say we wanted it at 14 feet. Don't start on one end and just raise that end to 14 feet. You're going to throw everything off and possibly damage the hole at the top of your upright. So you want to raise one side maybe 2 feet, 3 feet, go to the next pole, then the next upright. So you don't want to, again, make sure you take time and inch it up. Next, we're going to move all this fabric out of the way so that we can start designing. I also want to tuck back all that gold fabric in the back and straighten everything out from the back of the stage so it's out of the way. We'll make adjustments later on as we go as well. So with the height we want, then we can design. You want to make sure it's the height you want before you start designing. Otherwise, when you raise it up later, your design will be thrown off where you do all your gatherings and the soups of your fabric. So I use pipe cleaners to tie my drapes together. So I'm going to start with this navy blue and combine it with the white. I first do a deep swoop right there and later decide to adjust it a little bit, because I don't necessarily want too much of the white to show. I want that gold to show, but then I want the blue to be highlighted. So that's the whole idea. I want the gold as the backdrop, the blue shown, and a little bit of the white. So the white is there to just brighten things up, because it's supposed to be that elegant design. So I'm repeating the same thing on the right side with the navy blue and the white. Try to get it all even, and I'll explain how I do that swoop when we get to another white one. So the blue is a bit thinner on purpose, tying it to that pole again with the pipe cleaners. Now for your white fabric, you want to hold it at the point you're gonna tie, then lift it up and then gather with your right hand while bringing that left hand into the point you held it at, so that it holds the shape and it's in the position you want it to be. Once that's done, we have one more on the right side, and then we'll move on to the white with the light blue fabric. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much for being here. Please consider clicking that subscribe button. I've been doing this for a couple of years, which feels sometimes like a job on its own, but I love decorating, so I do that full time, and I have another full-time job. So if you like decorating, balloons, drapes, full hall decor, make sure you check out my other videos. I would love for you to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. And like the video as well. I really appreciate it. If you've been watching the channel for some time and you're subscribed, I always want to appreciate you as well, because it's thanks to you that I'm seeing growth in the subscriber numbers. Thanks to you that I'm getting all the comments, the likes, and everything else. So I appreciate you, and I do appreciate everyone else who comes and says, hey, I'm new to your channel and I'm a subscriber. I just subscribed. Welcome everybody. Leave your questions in the comment below. If there's a video you don't see on the channel, make sure you post the request that you would like to see, and I would love to create that for you. We're finishing off here by putting the light blue in the middle this time, still using the white to gather the fabrics. Same design we did with the navy blue, except it's overlapping. So finishing that off, and then to me another crucial part of the decor, which is our puddles, is what I call them, drape puddles on the bottom to finish off the design. Now the goal for the puddles is that whenever your design colors from the top, they should flow down to the bottom. So you don't want to flip it where it's navy blue white on the bottom. Since the navy blues are in the middle, you want that to stay in the middle and the two whites on the side. When someone looks at your design, they need to look from the top. When they're coming down, they see those same colors flow, tie, and continue all the way down. So we're repeating that with the other colors, this light blue and then the white cradling down. And when we get to the end where it's the drape covers, or the pole covers, sorry, the light blue on the very end, we do the same thing. We'll leave the navy blue, then the white, and then our light blue. Again, thank you for being here. I hope you guys have a blessed week ahead. Leave your questions in the comments below. I really appreciate you guys. Have a blessed week.